You were told education was the golden ticket, the ladder to success, the doorway to a better life. Study hard, get into college, take the loan, and everything would fall into place. But what if that ladder was rigged? What if every step up came with invisible chains of interest, deception, and a lifetime of debt? For millions of Americans, student loans are not a bridge to opportunity. They are shackles that tighten with time. Behind every beaming graduation photo hides a storm of rising balances. Relentless calls from collectors and dreams slowly eroded by compound interest. As of 2025, U.S. student loan borrowers collectively owe over $1.7 trillion, with 42.7 million Americans carrying federal student loan debt. The average federal student loan balance stands at approximately $38,375, while the total average balance, including private loans, may be as high as $41,618. Navient and Sallie Mae, once created to help students rise, have mutated into billion-dollar machines, engineered not for education, but for extraction. These companies don't just lend money. They trap futures, and even after decades of payments, many borrowers die owing more than they began with. Executives profit, shareholders cheer, and the victims, they just keep paying. This isn't just a broken system, it's a business model built on betrayal. Welcome to the dark business of student loans. Student loans began with a promise, a government-backed solution to help young Americans afford college and secure a brighter future. The idea was simple. If you can't pay today, borrow now and repay when you're earning tomorrow. It sounded fair, even noble. And at the center of that vision was Sallie Mae, created in 1972 as a government-sponsored enterprise. Its mission, to make higher education accessible to all. Back then, college was expensive, but not impossibly so. In 1980, the average annual tuition at a 4-year public university in the U.S. was around $2,000. Today, it's more than 5 times that amount, while wages haven't kept pace. In countries like Germany, Norway, or even Australia, education remained affordable or free. But in the U.S., the price kept climbing. And Sallie Mae was there to meet the demand, not with solutions, but with loans. Let's pause and look outside the U.S. at countries that chose a different path. In Germany, students, including international ones, attend public universities tuition-free. The idea is simple. Education is a right, not a privilege sold to the highest bidder. Graduates leave school ready to contribute to society, not chained to loan repayments for decades. In Norway, the government goes a step further. Students not only attend for free, but also receive monthly stipends to help with living expenses. It's not seen as charity. It's seen as a national investment in the future. But in the USA, as the decades rolled on, Sallie Mae began to transform. What started as a public service slowly evolved into a for-profit financial giant. With that shift came a new playbook. Sallie Mae ramped up lobbying efforts, spending millions to influence legislation and secure favorable policies. Its executives sat at the table where the rules were written, often shaping them in their own favor. The company pushed aggressive private loans, frequently targeting low-income students who had few other options. Then came 2014, the year Sallie Mae split into 2 entities. Its private loan business kept the original name. But the real machine, the one responsible for servicing and collecting billions in student debt, was rebranded as Navient. Sallie Mae had laid the foundation, and Navient was ready to take the business of student loans into even darker territory. But Sallie Mae and Navient aren't the only players. The student loan industry isn't just made up of 1 or 2 companies. It's a massive, organized business worth over $1.77 trillion. Some of the biggest players in the student loan industry include Sallie Mae, which originated many private student loans, and Navient, its spin-off that became one of the largest federal loan servicers. Companies like Nelnet and Mohela also play major roles in loan servicing and debt collection. handling millions of borrower accounts. On the private side, lenders such as tax revenues fund public universities directly. In the U.S., Discover, Wells Fargo, offer high-interest student loans to borrowers often without strong consumer protections. Behind the scenes, major institutional investors, including Vanguard, BlackRock, and various hedge funds, profit by purchasing and trading student loan-backed securities, turning education debt into a massive financial marketplace. These companies don't just lend money, they lobby, they shape policy, and they invest in keeping the system alive. So why doesn't a rich country like the United States offer the same? Some say it's because the U.S. has high taxes, but the truth is, America has lower taxes than most of these countries. The difference lies in how those taxes are spent. In countries with free education, education is treated like a private commodity, and students are expected to invest in their future by taking on debt. And because of the high cost of housing, healthcare, and student loans, many Americans can't afford to buy a home, start a family, or save for retirement. Parents, too, are trapped. Through Parent Plus loans, many borrowed to support their children's education, only to find themselves in their 70s and 80s still paying the price. In some cases, the government even deducts payments directly from their Social Security benefits, leaving them with barely enough to survive. These experiences reflect something larger, not a system that's broken, but one that's working exactly as intended. It's designed to keep borrowers in repayment for as long as possible, ensuring that interest piles up while companies continue profiting in the background. The more you struggle, the more the system earns. By 2017, pressure from countless borrowers forced federal regulators to act. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau sued Navient, exposing how it had deliberately obstructed access to affordable repayment options. Back in 2014, Sallie Mae and Navient were fined nearly $97 million by the Department of Justice and the FDIC for illegally overcharging active duty service members. Instead of honoring a 6% interest cap, they created needless barriers that blocked thousands of military borrowers from receiving protections guaranteed by law. Then in 2022, another settlement, $1.85 billion in relief, loan cancellations, and restitution. But no real reform, no apology, no admission of guilt. Just another headline while the industry carried on, uninterrupted. Because this crisis isn't just financial, it's political. Navient, Sallie Mae, Nelnet, and other players spend tens of millions lobbying lawmakers. The same people who were once tasked with protecting borrowers are now sitting at the tables of the very companies they were supposed to oversee. This is no longer just about debt collection. It's about system control. The system that turned education into a lifelong burden wasn't created overnight, and it won't be undone easily. But across America, something is shifting. The silence is breaking. A growing movement of borrowers, educators, economists, and activists is rising, not to ask for mercy, but to demand a reset. Leading this charge is the Debt Collective, a union of former students turned organizers. They don't see debt as the result of bad choices. They see it as the outcome of a rigged economy. They're tools. Direct action, legal pressure, and public campaigns that target the heart of the lending industry. On the political front, leaders like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have long pushed for transformative policies, tuition-free public colleges, mass debt cancellation, and strict rules for loan servicers. During the Biden administration, these ideas finally started shaping federal action. Several programs were introduced that aimed to reduce repayment burdens and simplify forgiveness for public service workers, offering long overdue relief to struggling borrowers. But that window of reform has closed. With Donald Trump now back in office, the tone has shifted sharply. Key initiatives are under review, and early signs point to renewed enforcement. Borrowers who once hoped for a way out now brace for the possibility of deeper entrapment. The question for millions is no longer if help is coming. It's whether the clock has just been reset on their debt and their lives. But even with these steps forward, one thing is clear. The pipeline is still open. Every semester, new students take out loans under the same predatory conditions. That's why this movement isn't just about canceling debt. It's about redefining education, about creating a future where a degree doesn't come with a decades-long price tag, where students aren't forced to gamble with their lives to gain opportunity. Subscribe to this channel, leave your story in the comments, and join us as we expose the next dark industry.